How's the BAM, Dulcich?
Boom!
Extra boom with new power for the Crusher Camaro.
And fully vintage with
Tunnel Ram. This Roadkill Garage is going to be the first in a whole series about us revamping the Crusher Camaro. Now, you know that car because it's been in Hot Rod magazine since like 1994 or 1995. It's also been on Roadkill, it's been on Hot Rod Garage, and now it's going to be here on Roadkill Garage. That car is a shapeshifter. It's been a whole lot of things over the years, from a street machine to currently a pro touring car. Most recently, you saw me and Finnegan remove the blown big block live from the PRI show and put an LS engine in that thing. And then after that, we removed that LS engine and dropped in another supercharged LS on Hot Rod Garage. Now, it's coming back to Roadkill Garage because only Dulcich and I would remove an 800 horsepower blown LS3 to install a naturally aspirated small block Chevy. It's a Blueprint Engines crate motor. It's a 400 cubic inch. And unfortunately, Steve broke it on the dyno.
Actually, if you want to be fair about it, I was the one that fixed it on the dyno.
That's true, you did, with your genius repair of the cam bearings. Unfortunately, we've put a ton of laps on this thing. It's been a real workhorse, but the last time we ran it, we did a camshaft swap.
And the relay was tugging on that cam and it just wouldn't come out.
For whatever reason, we wiped out the cam bearings, and that might have wiped out the bottom end as well. And so we're gonna go through the thing.
Plus, we want to go in from top to bottom, find everything that's wrong with it before it goes in the car.
Yep. So we're gonna rip this thing apart, and you're gonna get a whole lot of engine tech in this episode. Unfortunately, by the time we're done, it's not actually going to be running, but we will have the engine complete, ready for next time when we dump it in the car. This engine started out as a complete crate motor. We've changed some stuff on it during our time at Engine Masters. It's 400 cubic inches, 10.3-to-1 compression, Super Victor intake. The heads are Blueprint Engines 220cc as cast. The cam we've got in it is an Isky hydraulic roller, which is 244 degrees of duration at 50 thousandths tappet lift. It's 558 lift. It's 108 degree lobe separation angle. And this thing made 517 horsepower at 6,200 RPM. I think it made 497 pound-feet at 4,800 RPM. So it's pretty solid. I mean, it's a strong motor. Unfortunately, when we ran the thing last, we were doing cam swaps on it, and we don't know what went wrong, but it killed the cam bearings, which is one of the things we're taking it apart to fix. We're gonna have to go through the whole bottom end, make sure the cam bearings didn't also eat the main and rod bearings. And we're gonna basically keep the specs the same, except for put a tunnel ram back on it, at which point we know from prior testing, it should make a little bit more than 550 horsepower. You'll see a lot of people say don't touch an engine with an impact wrench. Obviously, we're not following that rule. However, as we take it apart, we'll carefully inspect as we go, just doing sort of a necropsy to find out if there's anything that's been going wrong on it, one of which we just discovered it doesn't have hardened push rods in it. You have to have hardened push rods for use with guide plates, or the guide plates will ultimately eat the push rod.
Can you see any evidence of
They're not chewed. The oil pan's always like a prime area of inspection when you're taking an engine apart. This is just moly lube, but this is not. That's chunks of metal. So is this. See that? That is bearing material, probably off that cam bearing that we know is completely ruined. And there's kind of a bunch of it in here. So that's our first indicator that we're in deep doo-doo. Now we get down to the actual problem, which is the camshaft bearings. And the camshaft does not want to come out. It's hitting a rod.
Can we rotate the crank and make that not happen?
Okay.
Ready? Oh,
there it
it's
goes.
coming right out. Now we're home free.
Oh, there we go. It's still questionable though, right?
Oh, the cam bearing's garbage.
Oh, the cam bearings are junk.
Let me rotate that crank a little bit.
Yeah.
You really don't want to do this, but this is a titanium crescent, so it doesn't scratch.
We're in the right spot. We're good.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
It did survive nicely.
Like new. Of course, it only has about, 15, 20 dyno pulls on it. Aside from that, it's fine. Okay, now we're going to flip it over and take the bottom end apart and find out if the rod and main bearings are as hashed as the cam bearings. You notice that we're actually being organized this time on Roadkill Garage? Kind of amazing. I mean, we've got our surgically clean table that we've vacuumed and put down butcher paper. We're actually boxing most of our components.
Here, I've got this vintage 1980s Speed Pro box. Speed Pro Performance Cam.
This guy never throws anything away, ever. Mint.
That's pretty mint to me.
Mint.
If it was for you, I would put this back together.
Ugh. Garb. Junk. You can see here where clearly some trash from the cam bearing has gone through this. I mean, it's not horrible because we caught it right away, but I'm not reusing it. See how much I can catch my finger on that?
Let me see. I'll try. Wow, junk. That is junk.
Okay, you can pull that crank out. I'll catch the seal.
Okay.
Got it.
Nice work there, David. That's teamwork, man.
Yep.
We should start an engine shop. Maybe we should do an engine show. Well, it's cam bearing time. These junk bearings have to come out, and you really need the right tool to do that. I've got a whole kit here. It's specially made for cam bearings. It's made by Powerhouse Products. They make all kinds of engine building tools. And I've had this for years. That's the bad cam bearing.
Bad?
Pretty bad.
Or regular?
Regular.
Okay.
I shot myself in the eye. I shut my eye just when I saw like a huge amount of stuff coming right at me. Okay, cam bearings, Freiburger. This is an aftermarket block, and like most aftermarket blocks, it doesn't take standard Chevy cam bearings, which usually are stepped in size by a little bit.
Yeah, the OD of the bearing is stepped in size just a little bit all the way down, and the aftermarket ones, they bore them all the same size, and so when we crammed them in, it squeezed them too tight, and we can't fit the cam bearing in.
In other words, we had the wrong cam bearings.
Yeah, so that...
Who ordered them?
That completely hangs us up for the rest of the day on actual engine assembly. And so we're gonna go and paint all the stuff we had intended to paint and prep and everything so that we can install the rest of it as soon as the cam bearings get here tomorrow.
Why do I feel like I've been hit by a truck?
Just emotional roller coaster.
I know.
Of victory and defeat and roadkillism and just debacle.
Lucky we don't do a show like Engine Masters or something like that.
It's a good thing nobody's counting on us for technical advice.
Yeah.
Now I have to do the cylinder heads, and tomorrow morning we need the cam bearings to show up, and then we can knock this whole garbage together. It's day 2 of our engine debacle.
Yeah, why?
Cam bearings still aren't here.
Uh-oh.
But I tracked them, they're supposed to be here soon, so while we're waiting for that to happen, we're prettying things up. Make it happen.
Nice. I'll just give it a light tack coat to start.
Yeah. Finally, it's 1 o'clock and we got the right cam bearings. Here's the deal. This aftermarket block is bored with the same cam bearing bore diameter all the way through, so it takes a special set of bearings. We found out that it's a Durabond DT1T. So if you've got like a Dart block or a World or one of these, that's the part number that you need. We're gonna pound these in, and then we should be able to move on. Okay, send her home. Stop. There we go. Perfect. Absolutely dead concentric.
That's the way I wanted it.
Yeah. It's time to snap the main bearings into the block here. There's a tang right here, which is the lock that goes in there. You just set that tang in place, and then press this half down, make sure that they're even. Now, on your main bearings, you might have a set like this that has a groove in the top half of the bearing, and it is important that goes in the top half if you do not have a full grooved set.
So we're going to get the diameter of the main journal, and then we're going to get the inside diameter of the bearing housing with the bearings in place in the block. And the difference is going to be the clearance in the bearings. Hopefully it'll be around 2 to 2.5 thousandths.
Next up, you have to put on all your main caps so that you can measure your bearing clearances. You have to put them on, torque them to spec. If you don't know which way to put your main cap on, it's always lock to lock. See how there's that little lock tang on the main cap on the upper bearing, and there's another one here on the lower bearing. Those two go together. The other thing is you have to put them in the same order that they came out because the block was a line board with the caps in a different position. Fortunately, Blueprint Engines numbered all of these for us before we even took it apart, so we know that answer.
.449 is the size of our largest diameter journal. Right here, the micrometer is at 2.449. Same size as that. So I take the dial bore gauge, chuck it in here. Okay, so that's set so it reads 0.
So now when you stick that in the block to measure the bearing bore,
however much it's off 0 is going to be the bearing clearance. When you stick it in, you want to just kind of compress it.
that one has 0.003 of an inch, which is tens, hundreds, thousandths, 3 thousandths.
Between 2.5 and 3 is all good.
You realize in a perfect world we would have had that crank polished.
Well, I know, but
this is a Roadkill world.
This is a flawed universe. It's Roadkill Garage.
Yep. Okay, next thing we have to do is measure all the rod bearing clearance and then bolt all the rods back up. But measuring the rod bearing clearance, same process we showed you on the mains. We're finally slamming pistons in, and Steve's using what's called a tapered ring compressor, which is actually really cool. It's just that. It's a machine piece of aluminum with a taper in it so that you can smack the piston through and it squeezes the piston rings so that they can get in the cylinder bore. Does it fit perfectly?
So far. Oh man.
It's pretty good
like
score.
Butter.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's the best fitting cam I've ever experienced.
Seriously?
Yeah. It's dead nuts on. Look at that.
Oh, wow. But check this out. I got the Mylodon gold irradiated, also known as gold irritated front cover, just because it's so 70s retro, and it's not here yet, but I'm gonna have a Mylodon pan that matches it and just looks so good with the red.
Normally you would want to put the gasket on the block first.
The reason we put the whole front end together before we did the heads and everything is that we want to establish top dead center on the compression stroke of the #1 cylinder, which is where your timing pointer points at the marks on the damper, which is what you're looking at when you're setting your ignition timing. And the right way to do this is actually with a piston stop. You like bring the piston up until it stops, then you rotate it the other way until it stops, and then you split the difference and blah. What we're actually going to do here is use a dial indicator instead and bring the piston up until it stops moving up and starts moving down. Watch this dial indicator right here, and you'll see that this is the piston coming up, and then that goes down right there. And so I need to get it right at the point where it is stopped going up and floating just a little bit right there, and then on its way down. Right there is where I'm gonna call top dead center, and then I'm gonna lock down my timing pointer right there. Hi, stinkiest dog ever.
Oh, he loves you.
I know, he loves me when he goes and rolls in the dead Roadkill.
Was that Big Joe or you?
He burped.
You did?
He totally burped.
You burped him? I didn't even know dogs burped. Wow. He's such a vile and disgusting creature.
I know it. Oh, he smells like carcass still.
Yeah. Okay, go see Freiburger, Big Joe.
Yeah. Hey, Terry.
Terry.
Check it out. This is the new member of the Roadkill Garage dog pack right there. She just showed up the other day. Her name's Terry. Hey, buddy. What's going on? The dog pack loves me. Do you have any brake clean?
Coming right up.
Thank you.
Okay.
Because that dog left some disgusting goop on me. Yuck.
Oh, what are you doing?
Well, the dog
Don't
put
waste the brake clean.
There's plenty of brake clean. Just making sure I got the right head gaskets because they're a different part number. What you really need to worry about is that it lines up with all of the holes in your deck surface. There can be extra holes that go to nowhere, and that's okay. And you have to make sure that the bore on the head gasket does not overhang the bore of the block, because the piston will come up and hit that lock ring.
You got to make sure the side that says up goes up.
Yeah. Okay. And we're ready for the head. This is all cleaned up on the underside. See that metal pin right there? You got to make sure you have those because they actually locate the head on the block. And sometimes if you send your block out to the machine shop, they'll take those out. This thing's coming together. Look at that. It's kind of mint. I'm going to 25 pounds first just to evenly tighten the head. The whole goal is that you don't want to warp the head while you're bolting it down, which is why you go in stages and why you work from the middle out like you see me doing. So basically, we're gonna slam this head on and call it. Deal with the rest of it tomorrow, because at this point, there isn't much left that can go wrong.
I think we've averted complete failure once that cam slipped right into the block perfectly.
Yeah, and the bearings were all correct. At this point, it was an assembled engine. If we can't make it an assembled engine again, something's seriously wrong with us.
Yeah.
This thing's gonna look great.
Big Joe. Big Joe.
Am I killing the dog much?
Nah, he's good. We're still smoldering out there.
Oh, no, it's a perfect day.
Big Joe, good boy.
Roadrunner driving, campfire, dog pack, lunch.
Everything but progress.
Everything but oil pan. We're still just waiting around for our oil pan to show up. And that's like sort of important to me because I don't want to put the tunnel ram on until we got the oil pan and everything. Tunnel ram's like the crowning touch.
Can't we just kind of lay it on there and admire it? Oh.
Valve train.
Okay.
Go ahead, I'll wait here.
It's your motor.
How come these push rods are still our non-hardened ones?
I don't know. We're probably gonna have to change them later.
Definitely, they'll eat themselves. So we're just slamming the valve train back together. These are 1/6 roller rockers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, not bad. 1/6 is the rocker ratio, which means take the distance between here and here and here and here, and you can see it's different. And so it has a mechanical advantage so that if you put in 1 unit of measurements here, say 100 thousandths lift, it turns into 1.6 units of measurements there. Say what would it be? 160 thousandths lift.
Did you teach like high school science?
No, am I like Bill Nye Science Guy?
Well, no, I was pretty impressed the way you just laid that out.
Rolled that out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, what they do is the stock rocker ratio is 1.5 to 1, and with a 1.6 to 1, you get extra valve lift.
What we're using here is exhaust open intake closing. That means when we see the exhaust valve start opening, we adjust the intake, preload in this case, not lash. And then when the intake rolls over past peak lift and starts closing, we adjust the exhaust.
Here's how you can tell which is the intake valve and which is the exhaust valve. Line it up at the port. You can see this port is going to this, and this port down here is going to this. So this is exhaust, and this is intake.
Okay, so let's demonstrate.
There's the exhaust opening, so you're going to adjust the
Intake, right.
intake.
When this adjuster is backed off, there's all kinds of play in the rocker arm. So we take it down to 0 play. I'm probably going to give this half a turn, which is right there. I get the poly lock snug. You can't really get it tight with the T-handle, so I use a wrench to nip it up. Done.
Now you have to just do the same thing when the intake is closing on the exhaust sides. As soon as you see this coming up, the intake valve's closing, right
there we
there.
go.
8 more times and it's a wrap on the valve train.
Hey, Freiburger, guess what's in here?
No way!
Yeah.
You couldn't have scripted the timing. This is
No.
like perfect. Is it from Mylodon?
No, it's my tropical fruit.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
I'm just joking.
So I've been wanting this oil pan so bad, not just because it's gold and super swoopy looking like this, which is all nice and retro, but it also is a much more high performance pan than the standard cruising model, you know, turkey baster that we removed from this thing. So this right here, this kick out helps with windage because the way the crank turns and throws oil one way or another, it captures it over here and prevents oil from flying around inside the crankcase. And it also has a windage tray, which helps with that. And that's all designed to keep the oil from slowing the crank down, basically. Uh-oh.
What? No gasket?
Do you see a pickup? I'm not kidding.
I know you're not kidding. Did you order one?
Oh, wait. Yes.
Oh, dude.
Okay.
Don't do that to me.
There's a moment of stress.
Yes.
So this is the one-piece rear main seal that goes on the end of the crankshaft, and it won't go on with this engine stand. So we have to actually take the engine off the stand so that we can put this on, so that we put the engine back on the stand so we can install the oil pan.
I got to turn it around. Hold on.
Ooh. Stylish. You were like one of those skateboard kids or something. Got it. So the engine stand arm slipped when we took these two bolts off, and now it's going to be a complete debacle getting it back on.
We have to take it all the way off anyway.
Well, how? What are we going to do? Just let it dangle off those? Right there. Oh, it's just such stupidity. How are you planning on getting the head back on the...
I know how to do it. Just try, because I can just gorilla that up in brute strength.
Handled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boy, we're good.
Finally, the moment I've been waiting for like 2 days. We're getting near the end.
Yeah, I know. It looks looking good.
Ready?
You want me to heave it on there?
The crowning touch.
Here we go.
The moment we've been waiting for.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah. Look at that.
Wow. That's freaking awesome, dude.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And there it is. The dual quad tunnel ram we have been dying to install for 3 days. It is just making the look of this engine. From up top, we've got those little retro chrome air cleaners, and underneath them, a pair of 750 double pumper old school Hollies on top of that Edelbrock TR1Y vintage intake manifold. Couple that with the Mickey Thompson valve covers and the engine all painted red, even over the modern aluminum heads. And man, this thing has got the look right down to that gold irradiated Mylodon oil pan. And the whole crusher is gonna have the look that's gonna justify this bitch in small block. And you'll see all of that in upcoming episodes of Roadkill Garage. Dulcich lately has been going nuts with this. Sorry. How dare you have a bodily function during my scene? You did wreck my scene.
You did that on purpose.
I want you off the set, man.
Steve, what's the worst fight you've ever been in?
Worst fight?
Yeah. Most vicious fight.
With a human?
I'm such a